Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. A while back, I installed a pivoting screen on my Tesla Model Y. Well, my wife also has a Tesla Model Y, and I'm going to install a screen on her car too, and this one is a little bit different, and it was sent to me by my friends at Taptes. So let's go ahead and get this thing installed. It may seem daunting, pulling off your screen and putting on a swivel mount, but trust me, it's really not that bad because I've done it once before, and I'm going to take you step by step through the process. But before we get started, let's take a look at what you get inside the box. Basically, what you get inside the box is everything that you need to install it, including tools, all of the plastic cover bits, and even the main swivel itself. So let's go ahead and dig into this and get started and get this done. The first thing you want to do is you're going to want to power off your car, and you're going to want to put a towel down because we're going to be removing that screen. We want to make sure that we protect that screen and make sure that we don't do any damage to that. So let's dive right in. So the first part of the process of getting this screen off and getting this new swivel mount mounted is you got to pull the screen off, and in order to do that you got to get to some bolts that are down there on the bottom, and there is a pry tool that you use to pop off a cover and gain access to two 10mm bolts. So let's go ahead and take that off right now. Here we want to disconnect the temperature sensor, just like that. We will save this piece for later. Now that we have the two bolts exposed, we are going to use a 10mm socket to pull that off. The kit does come with a 10mm wrench. You could probably get in there with a wrench, but if you have a 10mm socket, that is going to be much easier for you to do. So let's go and get those bolts out. Now this next step is going to feel not right, and it's going to mean that we're going to pull this screen off. It's okay. It's only held on by a bracket. The cord that connects the screen to the car will still be there. And I found that the car seems to want to power up all on its own. So I'm going to go ahead before I do this and go to safety. I'm going to power off the car one more time. It's okay if the car powers up. It's better probably if it's off, but all we have to do is grab onto the screen and pull it off. Sounds bad. You're okay. You're okay. We're okay. I think we're okay. All right, so let's assess what we have here. We have the bracket and we have the back of the screen, and we're going to want to take off this cowl here. And in order to get that, we've got a couple of Torx bolts here, one on each side. I think they're a T20. We'll go ahead and use the provided wrench to take those off. Okay, the next step of the process, in my opinion, is by far the hardest part of the process, and that is removing the dreaded red cable off the back of the screen. It's covered with a white plastic protector. You're going to want to head and slide that off, and you're just going to have to do your best to wiggle off that connector. And first time I did it on my car, it took me a long time. Let's see if they come off a little bit easier this time. Holy cow, it came off slick. Much easier than what it took the last time. All right, the screen is now completely disconnected, and we can go ahead and set that off to the side here for a little bit while we install the new mounting kit. Let's go ahead and get that done. This is the new bracket that needs to go on the car. The top part goes into the provided bracket that you just took off. This is where the screen is going to connect, and this is the swivel that allows it to pivot back and forth. So we're going to go ahead and just slide this on, and those two original bolts that you took out from underneath the dash, we're going to use those again to put those back on and secure these. And you want to make sure those bolts are tight. And swivel it out of the way if you can't quite get your wrench on it. Probably are good to go. Next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to install this top cover here that goes on the top of the mount, and there's also this plastic spacer. Now there's also this plastic spacer that allows things to hook in properly. This is actually a little tricky, but just take your time, and this will set on top up here and allow some spacing with the dash itself. So let's go ahead and get that put on. Now that we have the top cover on, the next thing we need to do is start to reconnect the screen, and we're going to do that by making sure that we have the cable routed through the necessary plastic pieces before we put that red cable on, because you don't want to take that off again if you don't have to. Just like that. And then this fits here, and we're going to use those T20 screws that we just took out. Now it's time to mount the screen to the car and get everything hooked back up again, and then we're going to follow that up by hooking up our temperature sensor again, and then we're going to pretty much be done. We'll see how it works. So for now, we're going to go ahead and set the screen back up, and they do provide you with 2 new bolts that you can use to connect basically the back of the screen to the new connector. So let's go ahead and do that now. All right, the screen is bolted on. We still have the temperature sensor to go, but at this point, the screen swivel is functional. And you can see that I have full movement of the screen left and right, which is really nice. Let's get that temperature sensor installed and get this project buttoned up and get us down the road. Now, this is the new sensor bracket for the temperature sensor, and this is the old one. We need to remove this with a T15 screwdriver. Let's go ahead and get that done. Next, we'll go ahead and use those same screws to secure the temperature sensor. Finally, I'm going to go ahead and plug in our temperature sensor and position this unit up here, and it should just snap in. The job is done. The hard work is done. Let's see if everything worked out the way that I thought it should work out. And we're going to do that by just testing the swivel of the screen. And there it is. Full right, full left, full movement. I can easily move it with one hand, but it is stiff enough that it stays put where you let it go. This particular screen does not go up and down. My screen on my Model Y does. I will admit that I don't actually use the up and down hardly at all. It is really the left and right that seems to be what is used the most, and this will work just great, and my wife is going to love it. The instructions and the kit provided by Taptes were top-notch. The instructions were clear. There were very awesome pictures along the way and really told you step by step, and more importantly, they provided all the tools that you needed to get the job done, so you don't need to provide any tools on your own. I would highly recommend this screen swivel kit from Taptes if you're looking to do this to your Model Y. And I love it in my Model Y, and my wife's going to love it in hers. Now, I've provided a link in the description below if you think that this type of screen swivel is right for you, and you can go over to Taptes' website and pick up one of your own. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I would appreciate you tapping that like button, and if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you on the next video.